Right. Hello, and thank you for joining us on this third and exciting episode of SheLeads in Tech. I am your host, Lydia, and today I'm joined by Elizabeth Jones, Director of Finance and Business Support at AltHAN Co. Thank you for joining, Beth.
You're welcome. Nice to see you again.
Thank you. So we're just going to start, and I'd like to start by asking you to tell us about yourself and how your career has progressed to date.
Sure. So, well, I'm married. I have two sons. One is 18, so he's just gearing up to go to uni this year. And I have an older son who's left home already. So other than that, I've got a very busy household. I have three dogs who, I'm afraid you'll hear my Labrador in the background, pitter-pattering about. And I also have a new puppy. So yeah, plenty going on in the dog front. For me, sort of hobbies, I enjoy all sorts of different things. In normal times, I love traveling. So I've been lucky enough to pretty much travel all over the world and had some amazing holidays. I think a standout one would probably be when I did a tour of Canada and then went to Hawaii straight after. So that's probably my big standout one. But in terms of things I enjoy doing, I love renovating. I've kind of got this urge to fix things and do them up. So I love things like interior and garden design. And yeah, painting and watercolors is probably something I do as well, just to when I want a quieter moment. So in terms of career, so how did I get to where I've got to? I did my first degree actually in business and economics. And at that point, I wasn't really clear what I wanted to do. And I've always really enjoyed keeping my options open and being quite flexible. So I knew I wanted to do something in the business arena, but wasn't really sure what. And I was lucky enough when I went to work for Rover on a graduate traineeship. I worked for them for 10 years in total, actually. I also was then sponsored to go and do an exec MBA as well. So I've got that from Warwick Uni. But in terms of the grad trainee, I really enjoyed that actually, because I was able to do lots of different things. And at that point, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to specialize in. So I was able to do sort of secondments in commercial marketing, but I also got to see the manufacturing side as well. So ended up at a really young age doing lots of different things. And that was really good experience for me. Then I went on to do 10 years with a company called Norwich Union, who became Aviva, and got involved in a lot of different projects with them as well. Sorry, that's the dog. And and then after that, wanted to do something that was in a smaller company, because at that point I felt I was in these really big multinationals, but wanted to get that more personal feel within an organization. So I went to work for a much smaller healthcare company and was the finance and HR director there, and then went on to another healthcare company doing finance and HR, and have ended up at AltHAN doing finance and HR as well. So kind of what I love about my role is just that diversity of things that I can get involved in. And sorry, I probably rattled ahead there.
No, it was really good to hear that, especially when we're talking about, your hobbies and the things you like doing, and it shows you have such a wide range of interests. And I was saying to myself, that makes me a bit boring. But it was really, really great to hear all of that and sort of hear your career and, all the different steps from the training you received to get your MBA done and all of the progression up to your current position as Director of Finance and Business Support at AltHAN Co, which I just think is fantastic. So really lovely to hear that. Thank you for sharing. So our topic of conversation today, I know, is one that is very dear to your heart, is around attracting and retaining SheLeads in the energy sector. And just before we jump into the topic, I just wanted to recap some quick stats from PwC I've been reading in the last couple of days, just to kind of get an assessment of where we are generally in the industry. So I'm going to read from my notes here. So currently, we only have 3% of students who say tech is their first career choice. We've got 78% of students who can't name a famous female working in tech. We've got 16% of females who had tech career suggested to them. And last but not the least, we've got only 5% of leadership positions in tech occupied in the tech, occupied by women in the tech industry. So again, as I read that, it's quite a gloomy statistic.
It is. They're quite shocking statistics considering it's 2022.
Yes.
And I mean, you know, when I met you, Lydia, I was amazed at you actually, at what a trailblazer you are in the industry. And I suppose I hadn't really realized how the energy sector and technology was as limited for females as it is potentially, because I've always come from a finance background or a healthcare background where it is a lot more women. But yeah, so it's really interesting. And I am really keen to make sure, certainly for AltHAN, but wider, that we promote and support women. And I think that's one of the things that's led to me really setting up the Women's Forum within AltHAN, is to make sure that there's that opportunity for support and just some sisterhood really within the business, not just for some of the senior leaders, but also some of the more junior members of staff who are coming through, so that we can do some role modeling for them as well.
Yes, and I think that really resonates with the thinking of the mission of SheLeads, which is to really get every woman in tech on her feet, to start to, well, for us, including me, start to see ourselves as leaders, whether we are, you know, just entering the industry, or maybe like yourself, you know, in a director position, but to really get us to start visualizing and I guess believing that we are the leaders, we are SheLeads wherever we are. But just to go back specifically to our current position in AltHAN Co, because we found ourselves in quite a remarkable but unusual position where the company has straight away come into the to the tech industry as a startup, but we've started off with 40% of women in our workforce. So can you just help us understand how that's happened? Because that is such a big contrast to, well, the stats I've just read it and the stat that is commonly known in the tech industry.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose I should start by saying it is a team effort. So very much the senior leaders of the business are committed to making sure that we have equity, not just in terms of gender, but right across all the different areas of the business. And I came in, I was probably the 11th employee in. And at that stage, there were already a couple of senior females, but I was the most senior recruited in. But since then, certainly I've made sure that we've continued and developed in that space. And one of the key ways that we've done that is ensuring that we look at recruitment. And I think it's really important to work with the recruitment agents to be clear with them that you want to see CVs from a diverse pool, not just in terms of gender, age, race, anything, because otherwise you are almost self-limiting at that point. And I think we make sure that we do actually have KPIs on that in terms of who we're interviewing. And I think just having that focus on it makes sure that everybody is quite in tune. But we're not doing it because you know, it's a tick box exercise. We genuinely think having diversity in the team gives us diversity of thought and also challenge. And we recognise that we end up with a much richer team and contribution from everybody as a result. So what we're finding, interestingly, is how passionate all our staff are, and they're really behind that as well. And I think people can feel that we're not doing it just as a tick box. It really is who we are as an organisation. So we've been very lucky, because we are in a startup position almost, that we've had that ability to create the position and to do it right from the beginning. And we're still working at that. So I would say we're probably at about 40% female at the moment. And our longer term ambition is to be 50%, because we recognise that 50% of the population are female. And so anything less than that does seem out of kilter. So we are actively looking to recruit good, strong females into positions where we can.
Thank you, Beth. And I know you've touched on quite a broad range of measures, from recruitment, bringing in that diversity into the KPI and I guess DNA of our business objective at AltHAN Co. But what would you say on top of that are the key strategies and approach that has led AltHAN Co to adopt that starting point?
Well, I think it's because our whole vision and ethos is very much about being values-led. And so we're very keen to have good team working, to have people who are passionate about the role. And so that hasn't actually been something that is gender specific. We have very much recruited on personalities, and we've just made sure that strategically we are getting very strong, capable candidates into roles, and whether that's male or female. So we've been equitable from that point of view as well. We're very much recruiting for the role and the right person for the role, and making sure that they have those values for the organisation.
Good, thank you. And in terms of measuring the success, what are the critical critical success factors, if I may ask, to measure?
Well, I think it's, as I was alluding to, it's in terms of making sure that we are trending in the right direction, and we are making sure that we are having equal numbers of male and female attending interviews. And then we're also making sure that who is getting through to the positions. So in situ. And yeah, I think that's the main thing, really. It's about monitoring the recruitment. And I think the next challenge for us is going to be about retention. So we've recruited a lot of really good, strong women, and it's about making sure that they want to stay with us, and that we do live our values, so that we're not just saying that we're a good employer, we're demonstrating that. And I think one of the things for us, which has been a real success, is our hybrid working. And I think also our flexible working model as well. So I know I've got a number of females in my team, and some have children, some don't. But I know certainly the flexibility around having some time off if they need to with children has been a big thing for them. And I think as an employer, it's about showing that we support people when they do need to take a bit of time off, and recognizing that people do have lives outside of the organization. So I think respect for that work-life balance has been key for us. And I think hybrid working has been a model as well, which has definitely attracted a number of women to the business.
Thank you, Beth. I'm just going to scuttle to my notes, because there was an important point coming off from, the back of International Women's Day and all of the sentiment around, celebrating the day and acknowledging, women in all walks of life and career. But just in terms of what needs to be done to bridge that gap between sentiment and action, what is AltHAN Co putting in place to ensure, we are successful in that long-term journey to make sure the right people and the right women in particular stay in the business?
Well, I think it's our commitment to showing that we are equitable, and how we've done that this year with our pay awards is we've had a pay rise across the business. So that hasn't been done in any gender specific way. And also some people might say, well, women tend to have the lower graded roles in a stereotypical organization. So we've just made sure that there are, at each level within the business, there are females as well. So we have a number of senior females within AltHAN and in some key roles, including yourself, Lydia, and a couple of other individuals as well who work in the commercial side and also the customer facing side. So we've got a good spread across the business. And I think one of the things that's really key and goes back to the Women's Forum really is about cross-functional women supporting each other and understanding different roles as well.
Thank you, Beth. So we touched in the beginning around statistics, but when that drills down to the energy sector, it's an even lower statistics of women in leadership roles in particular. So what would you say from the journey at AltHAN Co can be adapted by other big players in the energy industry to get more women through the door into key roles?
It's interesting because I hear a number of people within the sector saying that they do want to attract more women, but then I think they need to look at why that is. Is it doing it because it's tick box, or is it because they genuinely can value the contribution that women are bringing? And I think if it is about that contribution, then I think it's about looking to what makes work more enjoyable for women and also more sustainable. So I think that family support and work-life balance is probably even more key for females than it is for males. So I think if they look to how they can support, whether that's in terms of childcare provision or just in terms of more flexible working, I think that's where the industry could do more. And I think they just need to speak to a younger audience as well. So I think they need to be working with schools and showing that those sorts of careers are possible for young girls, and encouraging them into the industry, whether it's, through apprenticeships or taster days or whatever it might be. I think if the industry really needs to look at itself and say, are they making themselves attractive enough, and trying to work with young girls and young women, and at a senior level, are they opening the doors and welcoming senior leaders in at the right levels? So I do think the sentiment is there. I think that just needs to be followed with action to actually start to make breakthroughs in terms of some of those numbers.
Yeah, I think one of the key takeaways in the PwC reports, I got the stats from earlier, is that at least 50% of women find they want to be purposeful in the work that they do. So they want to feel that the work they do creates an impact. So in terms of AltHAN Co, how have we been able to sell our values as a customer to the women we have recruited, and how has that helped us get more women through the door?
I think because we have been very genuine about how we've recruited, and we have recruited for the role. We haven't made any limitations. So if somebody's coming in and they're coming in into a senior role, you're expected to do that role as well as a guy would do it. There is no adjustments made in that sense. But I think what we also are seeing is some of the softer skills that some of the women are bringing in with them, in terms of the teamwork and also the passion to help wider in the community. We're seeing actually that we're getting women who are adding a lot more to the organisation than maybe a guy would have done. So that mix is so important. And we are, if we were able to just turn the clock back and say, okay, we just wanted to have all guys, we definitely wouldn't do that. You know, we're really happy with our employees, we're happy with the mix. And I think it goes beyond gender. It is wider diversity. We are very diverse in terms of age and also ethnicity as well. And I think that brings a real richness, and it's a real pleasure to work at AltHAN, actually, because I think we have that rich culture there. And yeah, I think we can, even though we're only relatively small, we're only an organisation of less than 35 people, I think we can punch above our weight in the industry in terms of shining a light on how best practice can be, and how, sorry, my dog's singing, and how we can certainly lead the way for other companies as well.
Thank you, Beth. So just touching on again that key theme from International Women's Day, which was breaking the bias. How is AltHAN Co building a culture from the scratch to ensure women don't face either conscious or unconscious bias in the workplace?
I think a lot of that comes from conversations we have as a senior leadership team. We discuss on a monthly basis how our teams are going, any issues they're facing. And I think there have been a couple of conversations sometimes around how women are doing within the business. And I think the general feeling is that because they are very well supported, then people are progressing quite well. And we are actively making sure that the right learning and development is in place for some of our females within the business as well. So I think that's that ongoing support is really important too. And I think as an organisation, that's probably one of the ways that we're winning in that space.
Thank you, Beth. No, perfect. That's really awesome and great to hear, because I'm going to benefit from that. So that's a good thing. So just in closing, and I kind of struggled if I wanted to get you to close on a personal note or an industry-wide note, given the conversation we're having about attracting and retaining SheLeads. So given that this is our platform, we can have it whichever way we want. So I'm going to ask the question in two perspectives. One is, from a personal perspective, what advice will you give to other women coming into the tech sector on how they can grow and set their aspirations? And then the second half of the question is just what you would advise to other industries, other tech industries or energy industries looking to attract and retain more SheLeads in their business.
For me, one of the things that I heard within the forum when I started at the Women's Forum, which really touched me, was some of the younger females saying it was so refreshing to have something like that within an organisation, because normally senior female leaders pull up a ladder behind them when they reach a certain point. And I thought that was actually quite a sad thing to hear. So you know, that was their perception. So to be able to break that mold for me was really important. And I would love to see more women in the business, and to support women reach their full potential in AltHAN as well is something that I'm keen to do. And in terms of a wider perspective for other organisations, I would just say that, you know, it's maybe a little bit more work in the beginning to make sure it's happening, but in the long run, you really benefit as an organisation for having powerful SheLeads, because I think they really do have the company's best interests at heart in a wider sense. And I think one of the things that we've managed to do at AltHAN is to get a bit of a family feeling, and you get that care for your employees. So I think for other organisations, I would say take the time and invest the time to make it easier for women to join the business and to do well in the business, and they will reap the rewards in the long term from the goodwill and other economic benefits that these women can bring. So I think it's all to the good.
Oh, thank you. No, that was really awesome, Beth. And I'd really like to thank and appreciate you for being here on your day off to speak to us here at SheLeads. And yes, this is a wrap. So Beth has given us the spiel on attracting and retaining SheLeads in the energy sector. So thank you for that, Beth. And looking forward to speaking with you here again.
Lovely. Thanks, Lydia.
Yes, thanks.
Take care. Bye.